What if everything you were taught about India's ancient past was written by the people who colonized it? In 1835, a British policymaker named Thomas Macaulay drafted a document that would change how an entire civilization saw itself. It cut funding for Sanskrit and Hindi education overnight and made English the only path forward. The stated goal? To create, in his own words, a class Indian in blood and color, but English in tastes, opinions, morals, and intellect. Nearly 2 centuries later, a group of 21 scholars and scientists set out to ask, what did we lose? Their answer is a new book, Rigveda to Chanakya. Written by Mrs. Saroj Bala, former member of CBDT and director of the Institute of Scientific Research on Vedas, in association with 21 scientists and scholars under the valuable guidance provided by Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam in 2011. Write a history of Bharat that is neither leftist nor rightist but scientific. So they didn't start with opinion. They started with the sky. Using planetarium software, researchers cross-checked planetary positions described in the Rigveda, the Ramayana, and the Mahabharata against the actual recorded motion of the stars. A method that treats these texts not as mythology, but as dated eyewitness accounts. The claimed results: Rigvedic sky references matching 7,200 to 6,200 BCE. The Ramayana's planetary positions aligning across 5,116 to 5,076 BCE. The Mahabharata's wartime sky, observable for 13 distinct positions between 3,153 to 3,101 BCE. According to the author and her associates, over 3,200 archaeological sites excavated in Indus, Sarasvati and Ganga areas, and thousands of inscriptions show the unbroken habitation and development of Vedic civilization for 10,000 years, since the beginning of the Holocene after the last ice age. And genetic studies, the authors say, show population flow outward from India, not into it. So why don't our textbooks say any of this? The book points to 4 forces. 1. Biblical timekeeping. Early European Indologists worked within a belief that creation happened in 4004 BCE. Indian history had to fit inside that box. 2. The Macaulay policy we opened with, defunding indigenous scholarship at the root. 3. Max Muller, the philologist who dated the Vedas to 1500 BCE and framed the Aryan invasion theory. The book argues, citing his own letters, that he was working under East India Company patronage, and that the dating was never proven, only asserted. 4. A Marxist historiography that the authors argue treated Vedic society as static and regressive, reinforcing rather than correcting the colonial timeline. This isn't just an academic argument. The book documents 132 kings of the Suryavamsha dynasty, ruling from 8,200 to 1744 BCE. Metropolises like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa represented the zenith of Vedic civilization during 3,500 to 1,900 BCE. The timelines determined by the original archaeologist, R.D. Bahnuji, were 3,300 to 1,300 BCE, but were dictatorially changed by John Marshall to 2,500 to 2,000 BCE. Together, the book calls this the 4M problem: Macaulay, Muller, Marshall, and Marxist history. And it argues that concepts like heliocentrism, gravitational force, and complex surgery appear in the Rigveda and Yajurveda, centuries before they're credited to the West. The authors are clear about their intent: not to replace one biased history with another, but to let the evidence, astronomical, climatic, genetic, archaeological, epigraphic, speak for itself. Because a civilization that forgot how old it is can relearn. If this challenged what you were taught, share it. And follow for more on India's suppressed history.